fight night coming up between Alistair Overeem and Alexander Volkov as the headliner for the fight on Saturday, February the 6th. Main card starting at 5 p.m. Preliminary card starting at 2 p.m. and I believe this is Pacific time. And I want to jump ahead and start talking about the Alistair Overeem and Alexander Volkov fight. I think this is gonna be a great fight, though I don't think it's gonna go the distance. I trying to find out how many rounds it's gonna be. I think it'll either be 3 or 5. But yeah, I see Overeem submitting Alexander Volkov. I mean, I feel like Overeem lately has shown that he's not the type of fighter to actually stand and strike and actually uses his ability, to get in the clinch and then, try to take his opponent to the ground and get a submission victory. Because I feel like that's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen in this fight. Um, I mean, Alexander Volkov, when we look at the statistics on paper, he has 21 wins by knockout. So this guy, usually, always knocks his opponent out. He has 3 wins by submission, so he's not really much of a submission artist, and he has lost 2 by submission. And just to also quickly mention that he has lost 2 fights by knockout as well. And then he's had 8 wins by decisions, but 4 losses as decision. But when we look at Alistair Overeem's, win loss, he's actually been knocked out a lot. So he has 25 wins by knockout and 14 losses by knockout. So he's been knocked out 14 times, and that's a lot realistically, for a career. And even though he has more knockouts than Alexander Volkov, Volkov has only been knocked out 2 times. So that's very, that's realistically the one, factor, that's probably in Overeem's way. But what I was saying a little earlier was I don't think Overeem is gonna stand and, try to, keep the fight on to the, floor. Onto the, on the feet, and I think he's gonna try to get the fight to the floor and get it to the ground and try to get a submission victory. Um, but when we look at Overeem's wins by submission, he has 17 wins by submission. So almost half of his wins are, by submission. And he only has 5 wins by decision. So let's get something straight here, guys. This thing is not gonna go the distance. I definitely, doubt it will. Because yeah, I think what Overeem is gonna do, I think he's a very smart fighter. I think he's gonna try to get into the clinch with Volkov, and I believe that he will also try to, use his grappling, put him, against the cage and take him to the ground and, try to get a submission victory because, I think Overeem knows that if this fight is to stay, on the feet, somebody's getting knocked out. So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be a very fun fight to watch. Again, this is one of those fights where I'm gonna be on my feet, just trying to see who's gonna win, because it's gonna be a fight that can end at any second, considering, they can both knock each other out quite easily, Overeem has power. If there's any heavyweight that has, some serious, firepower in terms of striking other than Nagano and Stipe, I'll tell you it's Overeem. This guy can swing, and when he swings and he touches you, usually, will drop like a sack of potatoes. So, Overeem does have the capacity to knock out Alexander Volkov, but I think, again, he's gonna try to keep this fight to the ground and try to get a submission victory because I think he knows that Volkov has no chance on the ground against him. Whereas if the fight was to be on the feet, Volkov can put his lights out in one punch, and Overeem has been knocked out 14 times. So when you realistically compare the You know, the factors, as to who's had more wins and losses, in comparison as a ratio. uh Volkov, blows him out of the water. I mean, he's only been knocked out twice. He's got 21 wins, but Overeem has 25 knockouts, but he's been knocked out 14 times. That's the four being knocked out 14 times is, a lot. And he's only had three losses by decision. So, and he's only had five wins by decision. So, this thing is definitely not gonna go to a decision, in my opinion. I think this will, be a finish. I think um Overeem definitely has, the capacity to knock out Alexander Volkov, but I feel like he's gonna try to take this fight to the ground. I think, Overeem is gonna try to get Volkov tired. He's gonna try to get him worn out. I think he's gonna put him against the cage. He's gonna beat him up a little bit, and then he's gonna try to get him to the ground, and he's gonna be on top of him. And I think he's gonna try to get a Kimura, or an armbar or something. So we'll see what happens. But I think again, I think Overeem wins. On thing wins this fight. Because he's gonna use his grappling abilities and again, if the fight is to be on the feet, it can go either way. It's puncher's chance. Both of these guys can put each other's lights out. It's like saying, two Naganos fighting each other. That's pretty much the same thing here, you know. Just so people know, because Overeem, if Overeem throws a hard swing, you're going out. Alexander Volkov throws a hard one, you're going out. So they can both put each other's lights out now. I think Overeem has become more of a wiser fighter in his previous shows. So he's gonna be able to, in my opinion, use his grappling and wrestling abilities to get Volkov to the ground, and just either win by points, just like Chiesa did, to the person he fought recently. I forget his name, but yeah, I think that in this fight, I think Overeem is gonna beat Volkov in on the ground. So I think that's what's gonna happen this time around. So, and I also like the betting odds as well. But and just to quickly cover that, let me go ahead and pull that up really quickly. Because I do want to talk about the co-main event. It's a good old Frankie fighting against Corey Sandhagen. But and Michael Johnson, he's always nice to see fight. And yeah, the what do you call it? The betting odds is minus 200 for Volkov being the favorite, and Alistair Overeem at the plus 160 as the underdog. So um I mean, these guys can both, again, they can both knock each other out. Um and yeah, I mean, this fight is gonna be, this fight is gonna be war. So, it's gonna be one of those where you're not gonna want to blink, and that's exactly the reason why I say that I'm gonna be standing up watching this fight as well, because I don't think it's gonna go to decision. Obviously, just by looking at the statistics on the paper, the thing on paper, because they matter. So yeah, and then just to talk about the Koi Sandhagen and Frankie Edgar fight. I think that one is gonna be a really good one. Let me see how old each of these guys are. It looks like Corey Sandhagen is 28, and let's see here. Um, Frankie Edgar is, how old is he? 33, 32. Yeah, my phone is blocking my screen here, so I'm not really able to see it. But yeah, I mean, this fight is definitely gonna be a really good one. between Frankie Edgar and Corey Sandhagen. So, oh yeah, and Frankie's actually 39. So Frank Edgar is actually 39 years old. He's almost 40. So he is still fighting. I mean, he hasn't had very much success in his last 5 fights. I'd say he has 3 losses and 2 wins in his last 5 fights. So I mean, I'm not really sure, um, you know, what his career is gonna be. But it looks like he's got a fight coming up, obviously against Corey Sandhagen. And man, Corey Sandhagen is one tough opponent. Not a lot of people can mess with, because this guy, um, always puts on a show. Most of the time he comes out, he's got 5 knockouts. He's lost once by submission, once by decision. And he lost to Aljamain Sterling last year in 2020. So, Aljo is a really good fighter. But yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a spectacular show too. I mean, if you guys watch Frank Edgar fight, you know that Frank Edgar is always gonna come on and put on a spectacular show. He's always the type of fighter to go to war. So you know that this guy shows up, it's gonna be an amazing fight. It's gonna be an amazing war. It's gonna be crazy, and it's gonna be one of those fights that they can both end up getting close to finishing each other, and then things can turn out the other way. So yeah, I think this is gonna be a fight that is gonna be going up in lights, because I actually don't think this one will be a finish as well. I really don't know who's gonna win. It depends on how Frankie shows up. I mean, Frankie is really good. He always puts on a show. I know Corey Sandhagen is really good. I feel like Corey Sandhagen has some power in his punches. So we'll see if Frankie is going to be able to take it, because Frankie's the type of fighter where he does go to war. He does eat those shots, and he just comes back with it. But you know certain fighters, you just can't take their punches. It's like the heavyweight division. Again, to mention Francis Ngannou, heavyweights can't get touched by his punches, because if they do, they're going out. And I think it's kind of similar with Corey Sandhagen. I don't think he's gonna be able to take many of his punches, because this guy is very powerful in the striking capabilities, and he is able to knock people out, and his 5 wins via knockouts prove that. So, but again, I still don't know who's gonna win. Excuse me, but yeah, this is gonna be a really, really good fight. I'm really looking forward to this co-main event as well. So we'll see what happens. Um, then we got a lot of other fighters. New faces, but we see Michael Johnson and Clay Guida. Oh, that's gonna be a fun one to watch. We both, for all the UFC veterans, that have been here for a while, Clay Guida and Michael Johnson is, gonna be a really good fight too. Clay Guida is always, for some reason, very how should I say this? Is very it's very how do I say this? It's very entertaining to see him come around for some reason, kind of like Mike Perry, but in a different way. And then Michael Johnson, he's always got that personality. So yeah. So this is gonna be a nice little veterans fight too. So that's definitely gonna be a fun one to watch. But just to say, out of the two fighters, I think Michael Johnson is gonna win that one, just because I think he's gonna be a little bit smarter, and it looks like he is the favorite just by looking at the odds. He's minus 225, and Guida is plus 175. But yeah, I think Michael Johnson takes that one. But hey, you never know how these fights can turn out, so we'll see what happens. And then yeah, just to quickly mention the odds for the Corey Sandhagen and Frank Edgar fight. It's minus 400 as a favorite for Corey Sandhagen, and plus 300 for Frank Edgar. So look at those odds. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a good UFC fight night. Again, guys, that's Saturday, February the 6th. So be sure to tune in. And let me know who you guys think is gonna win in these fights. So drop those comments, like the video, subscribe, and stay safe out there, everyone. I'll catch you later.